Welcome to today's COVID Conversation Couples Part 2. We are your hosts, Carl and Marquita Burnett, family life leaders at Emmanuel-Brinklow Seventh-day Adventist Church. Today's panel discussion will cover relationships, couples, marriage, and families during COVID-19 and how to continue to sustain and flourish these relationships both during and after the pandemic. You will hear personal stories, strategies, suggestions, and overall encouragement on how to remain in like and love while in the midst of this pandemic. This will also be an interactive discussion, so be ready to answer up on some poll questions. We want to hear from you. Now, we would like to introduce our couples for today's discussion.
So our first couples are coming out from behind the camera, Sheldon and Elaine Kennedy. These two established a small owner's business, have been married for 14 years. To their delight, God has blessed them with two handsome young men, Darius and Cameron, who are 11 and 6.
Our next couple with us today are Lawrence and Tishana Elliott. As fate would have it, Lawrence saw Tishana's breathtaking photo in a friend's photo album, and he had to meet her. In just a few weeks, they will celebrate their 22nd years of marriage in love and like. Lawrence is a successful settlement attorney and owner of Prime Title, and Tishana is an occupational therapist working in the hospital setting. Together, they have two wonderful children, Jaden, 18, and a freshman at Oakwood University, and Lauren, 15, a sophomore at Tacoma Academy.
And our last couple joining us today are from New York. They're high school sweethearts, Marshall and Tanya Fratt. This lovely couple have celebrated over 20 years of marriage. Together, they are blessed with two kids, two young men, Justice, age 11, and Malachi, age 6. Both bosses in their own respect. Marshall as a network engineer and owner of an IT company, and Tanya, a senior vice president of administration for a federal government contract company.
So we've met our couples. Let's get into the conversation. So guys, how you doing? What's going on? I know personally it's been like the whole 5 months since I've seen all of you guys in person. And so, how is it? How you guys doing? Lawrence and Tish, how's everything going on your end?
Doing well. Can't complain.
Yeah, for us, our kids are older, so it's not as hectic, but we're doing good. We work outside the home, so our schedule hasn't really changed that much, but we're doing good.
Good.
Okay. And Sheldon and Elaine, how are you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're hanging in there. It's been a long 5 months, but we're doing good. Making changes, and it's all coming together. So we're doing good.
Yep. What she said. That's the best answer, right?
Yeah.
Now we here, man. We living, and we're just looking forward to see what's next, kind of.
Good. And Marsh and Tana, what's going on with you guys over there in the deep South?
We're not going to do the jokes today, family. It's interesting, right? It's definitely been 5 months. I can give you the Sabbath version. I can give you the real version of the Fred household.
All of that.
You want the real version? Okay, so our boys are trying to adjust. Our oldest has a lot of screen time, so don't judge us. The youngest has become quite nocturnal. He's up all night and he sleeps all day like he works at FedEx at night. They're eating us out of house and home.
Yep.
The garbage people probably think we are running a daycare down here. FedEx, UPS, and Amazon can't stand us right now. We're doing home renovations. But we're happy.
Doing good,
We're
yeah,
good. We're good.
Business as usual.
I love it. So you guys have, pretty much summed up what everybody's life has been like right now with COVID. It's rearranged in many ways, many people's lives, from school to work to travel. And so I'm just wondering, Lawrence and Tish, you guys mentioned that things haven't really changed because you guys work out of home. Speak on that. What has changed even with COVID with your work, but what hasn't? What is it? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I can say for me working in the hospital, it's just working initially with that COVID population. There was a lot of anxiety initially because the rules kept changing and, you were told don't wear a mask in the hallway. Then it was wear a mask at all times. And it was like, protect your eyes. And, so it just is an uncomfortable feeling because you're like, and then you would get the emails that you were exposed to somebody that tested positive after you saw them. So that was uncomfortable. And then coming back home to my family, because it would just hurt me if I had brought something home to my family. But, I just kept praying for covering. Now it's, you're 5 months in, it's a little bit more relaxing. And then the numbers have gone considerably down. We're back up to, bringing surgeries and stuff back into the hospital. The numbers in the hospital in terms of our critical patients have gone down, but if they're still there, I have a feeling we're always going to have a COVID patient. It's just not going to be 100 some in the hospital. It might be less than 20, but other than that, I'm just thankful that I have a job, and I'm thankful that they do provide us with protective equipment. And so, it was an adjustment, but I'm definitely more relaxed now.
Yeah. That I mean, Carl goes out too, so we could definitely relate with that anxiety of bringing it home or contracting it yourself. But Larry, I mean, we're interested in hearing how that affected you and how, with your work, what is that like?
For me, I do go out to my job every day, and I'm actually grateful for it. I feel for people that are in the house 7 days a week. I couldn't imagine. So psychologically, I think it's more comforting for me to actually get up and go to my job. From a standpoint of the amount of work, it started off, it was a little bit slow in March and April, but it's been really, really busy. So
People are still buying houses.
People are buying houses. Actually, it's insane, really. People are buying houses at a higher rate than they were before the pandemic. You wouldn't be able to tell we're in a pandemic, honestly.
Wow.
That's a blessing. Very
yeah. I had the busiest summer I've had probably in 10 years. So I would not have guessed that, back in March. But I really do enjoy coming back home, and we do a lot more. We watch a lot of, movies together and things like that with the kids. So we're, it's as bad as it is for a lot of people. It's actually been pretty good for us.
Okay. That's wonderful.
That's nice. And the Frets, how are you guys holding up?
In contrast to what we just said.
So I am home full time now, but working, pretty much all day. IT business is actually picked up kind of, like Lawrence was referring to. Most IT people I know, they're actually way more busy than they were before the pandemic. And that's because, businesses, everybody has to go remote. And, it's just a whole change in the infrastructure that needed to occur. So we're actually, rather busy. As far as in the house, I try to, keep the same work schedule as much as I can. I get up, I go downstairs in the office and work pretty much till 5, 6 p.m. and then
8, 9 p.m. Let's be real.
And then come back out and see family. Obviously, people could pop in say hi, what have you. But I'm usually on call, so that's pretty much my day.
Tina's looking at
Y'all laughing at me. So so he's right. He works a lot. So part of my job is disaster recovery and business continuity. So I'm in the thick of it at my job. But I'm very blessed to have a company that is very work-life balance. Like they're very sensitive to this. I'll be home at least through January now with this. So it's for the long haul. And I teleworked before. I just never teleworked trying to keep a half naked child from running behind the Zoom. So there's a little bit of that's going on as well. But work-wise, we're definitely blessed to still be employed, to be able to have some flexibility, and to be able to do what we do. So.
And Sheldon and Elaine, how's it going over there with work with you guys?
I'll start. Well, let me speak for myself. I have, 3 things going on. I'm in school. I have my job, the one with the benefits. And then I have my business that I'm also trying to, grow. So it has been quite an adjustment. However, recently I have had my hours cut at my other job. So, initially it's like, what are we going to do, financially? But I'm seeing the blessing in it because now we're all home. And my husband, who was working from home anyway, was getting a lot of the children coming into the meetings and, still having to do schoolwork when that was happening. And so with me being around, it kind of alleviates some of the stress on his part. But it does call for a lot of order and structure in this house. And so, we're getting there. I won't say we got it quite yet, but we're definitely getting there. We're acknowledging what it is and just keep pressing and trying to really support each other in the different things that we're doing. We're both busy. So it's been quite the adjustment, but we're getting it.
Yeah, I can agree to that. I think one of the biggest things biggest adjustments that I had to make was initially I felt like I was working nonstop, right? I kind of felt like the days was from 7 a.m. or 5 a.m. to 9, 10 at night, where, I just couldn't get it together, where I couldn't organize. And like Elaine said, with the kids, they not only being in school, but hey, daddy, can we go outside moments, or mommy, can we go outside moments? It was difficult to kind of try to manage that. So you're basically juggling everything, and you don't want to take it out on them. Carl, are you listening? You don't want to take it out on them. Let me leave it there.
I am off duty.
You on duty? I bet. So, but like you start realizing that you have to take a different angle or a different approach to how you deal with everything inside of the house. Because if you don't start taking stock of yourself in the moment, it can get really, really tense and toxic because of how you're naturally feeling. So I had to take a really deep look at myself and make sure that I'm not taking out my angst or all the frustration of everything that's happening around me on not only my wife, but on my children too. So it's getting better.
You brought up a really good point. We're talking here as couples, but we're family life, and family life has all types of families. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking about the single parent who potentially are doing this by themselves daily. We can lean on each other, but they are parents just like us, and they're doing it, and they've been doing it for the past 5 months. So what encouragement or suggestions would you guys have for a single parent who's listening, who's trying to continue to make it through? Tanya, what do you think?
Yeah, so, I thought about this for a little while. I think one thing is important to know is nobody wants to feel like they're on an island. Well, in Jamaica would be nice right now, but nobody wants to feel like they're on an island. And I think one thing we need to keep in mind, and this applies whether you're single, to women, to pastors, to couples, to children, we have one thing in common right now, and that's COVID, right? And so it's really important for us now more than ever to either create or find affinity groups, to rely on others for advice, input, and support, and recognize that you're not alone, right? So often people feel like they're the only ones going through something, and that is not the case right now. And so the only advice I would give to everyone, including single parents, is, find someone else that can either help you, or even somebody that you can help. It's kind of a circle, but we're all in this together. And I think we also, all of us, have a responsibility to be helpful to other individuals and to make that known, because not everybody, I think the pastor said it this morning, will say they need help. Not everybody's going to do that. And so we need to be in a position where we're publicly saying, message me, inbox me, let me know what you want or what you need, and then holding ourselves responsible for that.
I agree with that, Tano. Like 100%. I kind of feel like there are so many people who are going to be in this moment of, I can't call out. Like nobody's listening, or, even if I'm scared to say it, especially to a church community. Sometimes people are scared to do that, but the reality is there are people that you can text message. I know that I have Carl as a brother. I know I have Lawrence as a brother. I have Marsh as a brother. My person that I pray with is Darwin. So there are times where I'll text Darwin, "Hey Darwin, I'm not doing well today, man." And he said, "Hey Shell, enough said. I don't have to say much more than that." And Darwin says, "I got you."
Yeah.
Right. So this is not, for those who, to your question, for those who are single in this position, I believe there is an opportunity to talk to individuals. There are people that you can reach out to, because you don't want to be on that island by yourself. I guess this morning's sermon was very apropos.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Tish or Lawrence, did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
I think what Tana said in terms of reaching out to people, like if I'm at the store and there's certain people that, hey, I'm here, is there anything you need? And I can just drop it off at your house. I think it's just, you're going to have to offer, is because I know I don't like asking people to help. I will figure that thing out, because you just don't want to be an inconvenience to anybody. And so I think if we know of people, or even if you know of somebody and you have a community, you can say, hey, I need help with this person. She's not going to ask us, but can we support this family? It's going to take that community effort. And even, I know there's been something going around where they were posting something that, message me if you need help, if you need anything, because it is a community. This is not normal. Some people are scared to go out. Right. And so, you have your kids and you don't want them to have to go with you into certain environments. So I do think that we're going to have to either, even within our church, if we know of names in our communities that we can just, here's a bag of groceries, or here's a gift card to go get DoorDash to have dinner come to the house, or just something.
Yeah.
So that we're all in this together.
Yeah. So kind of going into the next question here. So typically during the summertime, families, they plan vacations. That pretty much got canceled out this summer. All right. So what did you guys do to kind of be creative with taking a break, taking a drive, going for a walk? Like, what did you do to be creative to kind of create that that vacation, that summer experience, that vacation, without actually going on a vacation?
Yes. What did you all do?
I'll start with that one. We went out to go drive over the bridge in Annapolis, the Bay Bridge. Mm-hmm. Go out to Kent Island. There was a nice pier out there. We can go and just look at the water and everything. We have a pool in our community, and the pool got closed, obviously, for COVID. So we found a pool, and the HOA allowed us to put it in a backyard or what have you. So for a while, my son Malachi, he would get up like he was religiously, he get his towel, he get his flip flops, like he was going to a real pool house, but he was going to a blow up pool in the backyard. So we have, a couple water fights, some basketball. So we just find ways to have fun, take the occasional drive every now and then, and do some outdoor, walks or what have you. So that's kind of how we supplement it for the vacations.
I would say we would
like that. I mean, what I heard just from what you guys are, it's not taking a whole lot of money, whereas before we felt like in order to experience life, you had to spend money, go some, exotic place, but we can't right now. So going across the bridge, which we probably don't do all the time because we don't live near that side, but you find stuff to do and it's not even expensive. But I'm still curious, Elaine and Sheldon, what have you guys been up to with summer?
Just cleared up. Marshall and Tana live further to Georgia, so
I thought we weren't doing that today. We're not doing that today.
Brinklow loves you. Brinklow loves you. All right.
So what we were doing.
Oh man.
We too crossed the bridge and
we live closer.
To put us down there, and we went to the beach. We went to the beach during the week where there's like pretty much nobody there, and went in our section and let the kids just beach out. We would do some car rides just to kind of look around, and come to find out they don't really like it. So we stopped and just pretty much asked them what they wanted to do. What do you want to do within the confines of, the restrictions of what we can do, And a lot of them, well, I should say a lot of the two of them just pretty much wanted to play games, video games. They wanted to watch movies. They wanted to ride their bikes in the park, and just kind of look at our face a lot of the time. And so we were just like, all right, let's make a schedule and see how we can put in some things you like to do and some things we like to do, so we can kind of like meet each other halfway. So, that has been working. I haven't heard them complain too much about not being able to travel like we usually do. So we just try to keep them busy. I try to do a lot of crafts with them in the house and just kind of get creative that way. So that's pretty much what we've been up to.
That sounds like fun to me. I mean, I'd love to beach out during the week all the time. Like, why not? Yes. And Larry and Tish, what have you guys been up to for summer? Were vacations just derailed or nothing else, or what? What's going on?
Well, Oxon Hill is really nice this time of year. So we go look at the leaves and we take walks in the neighborhood. Actually, since my son graduated this year, we did a lot of going to the drive-bys. So that, for 60 some odd kids, that went into July.
Yeah, and then they had their actual graduation that Sunday. So school has pretty much taken over our summer, preparing for college and then ending his senior year, making it, still having all those celebrations.
Yeah.
But a lot of bike rides with the kids. My daughter and then my son, he's kind of taken over. He's actually riding 20 miles at a time now. So I've let him just go ahead and do that. Let me know when you get back. Just put the bike back in the right spot.
I'm gonna go on that adventure with him, Larry. It's not happening.
Yeah, because I would have to ride her bike, and it's just not situated the same. I let him ride mine.
Okay.
20 miles on that one's not going to work well.
Yeah, I hear you. You guys brought up something that we're now getting. Summer's kind of like winding down. It's August now. And you mentioned, getting ready for school, colleges. I'm sure Oakwood, just started, I think, and other schools are getting ready to begin in the next few weeks. What are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling? Having had the complete disruption of life back in March to a virtual platform with school, to now returning back to a virtual platform for school. I mean, in some ways you would think, oh, well, we had time. We could have kind of planned. have you planned, or were you like really hopeful that we could get back into the regular classroom setting? How are you guys feeling about school beginning and what that is looking like for everybody? Elaine and Sheldon, I'll let you guys start this one off.
I would say that initially it was like a tornado hit, and we were like, how are we going to get out of this mess? Because it was just too much at once.
Yeah.
And everybody was feeling it. Everybody was getting it.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't come to a place where we could kind of come to the surface from drowning. But I feel like at this time, we have worked on just pretty much mourning the fact that it's not going back to the norm. Like, we're accepting that, we've mourned it, and we're kind of still mourning it. But with that realization, we're just trying to get everybody into the mindset that virtual school is going to be what it is. So let's get our atmosphere in the house to receive that and kind of just get our minds into still having our goals set, still trying to have a good school year, even though it's going to be a lot more work because it's not as easy. We have to do most of the work, of course, with the assistance of the teachers. Just really including the kids in on this as well, as far as what they want to do to help their school year to be better. What can we do as their parents to support them? And just kind of bringing our, expectations back a little bit, just because we know at the end of the day, they're the ones that's going through it as well. Yeah. And so we just have to backtrack off of that and just working on coming to a place where we can just be like, all right, y'all, how are we going to do this together? How are we going to encourage each other, even with us working, telling the boys, daddy has these meetings or mommy has these things going on. How can you all help us to get through this without disruption,
Yeah, so I think Elaine's further along in the process than I am. I'm still mourning. There are days where I still want to drop them off right in front of the school and just be like, deuces, I'll see y'all at 3:30. I know nobody's there, but you will figure it out. This is development. This is going to teach y'all life skills. The first person that makes it home gets a free that type of level. So not real talk. Like, that's like sometimes how you feel, but to what she's saying, we are getting better, but making sure that I feel like one of the things that we had to do was we're figuring out how to make sure that everybody has their space in the house.
Okay.
Because if everybody doesn't have their zone, everybody on top, not everybody has that ability in their home. And I'm well aware of that not everybody's going to have the opportunity, but you've got to figure out a way, even if you create a schedule, that the office is mine from 9 to 10, the office is yours from 10 to 11. You see what I'm saying? Because not everybody's going to have different zones where they can be. But for us, one of the kids has to be close by to one of us. So that's how we got to figure it out. Because our 6-year-old, I promise you, once that Zoom goes on, his feet are on the computer desk. His feet will be just waving back and forth while you windshield washes, and the teacher's gonna be watching his feet, because that's really how he feels. Like, he's checked out.
Yeah.
So we just have to be there with him, through this process. So I'm praying to God, that this round will be a whole lot better, because we will be a whole lot better prepared for it. So
absolutely.
Tanya and Marsh, how you?
Yeah, so I think first, let me say, to everyone watching, it's not a one size fits all solution, right? Particularly in our home, our children learn differently. It depends on people's finances. It depends on their teacher and their style on the school. It's a lot to help make this virtual thing really work, right? And so for us, we were thrown into it months ago. It was just figure it out. I have to take the blame from Malachi's nocturnal schedule, because again, I had to work during the day. I am COVID at my job. So I couldn't start school and helping him until my job was over. So his schedule was completely off. So now we are being really intentional. We created a dedicated space for them to when school starts. We have to do a better job of working our schedule so we know who's watching and overseeing at whatever time. And so it's about planning. But before I stop, I just want to say I appreciate all of the teachers out there. We want y'all to take our kids back, right? We're not trying to keep them away. We want y'all to take our kids back. It's a tough time for all of us, but we are grateful for the ability and the flexibility that we recognize many people do not have in allowing our children to go virtual. So we're ready. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
We got it.
But I will also say that I am also ready for the school system to step its game up. Last year was a bit, crazy, and it's to be expected. But from my understanding, at least in PG County, they have a good game plan to get things going again, and there'll be a lot more structure and everything too. So I am looking forward to that piece of it as well.
And, Larry and Tish, you guys have older children than all of us. So how is this? I'm curious to find out, like, what is this freshman year for Jaden about to look like, at least for the beginning of the school year? And what about Lauren going, back to high school in her sophomore year?
I will say for Lauren at first, we, thankfully we've had some Zoom meetings with the administration and everything. So there will be some changes compared to what it was at the end of the school year, when everybody was just trying to make it. There's, they're going to have training on Google Classroom. We've added some courses. I can tell they're, under the circumstances, doing the best they can to make sure that they're adding more time for the kids to, learn and hopefully be able to get in their groups with their other classmates and have like small group things outside of the instruction. They're doing block periods. So it'll be 4 classes Monday and Wednesday, and then 4 classes Tuesdays and Thursdays with labs every other Friday. So they're doing what they can under circumstances. And then I think each month they're going to do a reevaluation in terms of how they can re-enter into the classroom. But for Jaden, there are kids that are at Oakwood's classes start on Monday. So some people are there. They're offering online hybrid or high flex classes, but those high flex classes are, you can be in class or in your dormitory. But that being said, we just decided for his first semester, didn't want to, but we just said the first semester we'll do remotely, and then we can reevaluate and see if you can do your second half of your freshman year on campus. But it's going to be interesting because I'm kind of concerned of, you don't know your professors, so now you're starting a new phase of life. You don't know your professors. And I'm just hoping that communication will be there, because this is a new experience for you, new classes and how things are done. So you're trying to figure out all that kind of on your own, but it's a blessing that I do have friends that work there. So I feel like I have a support system that we can, if something's not going right, we have people that we can reach out to. So we're just praying. It starts Monday.
Oh, wow.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, we're going to kind of shift just a little bit here, and we're going to talk about preparing for the holidays. Because around this time, we do start thinking about, I do. I think about Thanksgiving right now.
That turkey, huh?
So, like, we have to prepare for the holidays. We start to figure out, like, where we're going, what are we going to be doing, who are we going to be around, how, with COVID-19 going on right now, with the pandemic, what are your mindsets on the holidays right now? Let's go ahead with Sheldon and Elaine.
This one's gonna be a difficult one. Honestly, I feel everything this year is so different, man. But I guess the biggest suggestion that I'm probably, on the spot thinking about is doing a big virtual Thanksgiving where everybody get their vegetarian turkey, their dinner roast, and what, you don't eat vegetarian turkey? you know. But no, but like, but I think that that's what probably a lot of people are gonna do, where they just get their stuff and they have a virtual thing, and I think it may work out a lot better for a lot of people because there are family members that you haven't seen in a long time. You haven't had you know, a meal together in a very long time. So where that Zoom room could be up to 100 different families. Yeah. Obviously, that's gonna look real chaotic, but you know, and if it's anything like my family, they're probably gonna try to sing a song, which everybody knows is really terrible over Zoom, you know. But I just feel like there are opportunities in this thing that we probably are missing, you know, because if we're thinking that, oh man, I can't see you, that's the end of it. Now I think, hey, we'll meet up at 1 o'clock on Zoom, you know, and have 15 different meetups, because you can do your friends at 4 o'clock, do your family at 5 o'clock, you know what I'm saying? So
this is, and Lawrence and Tish, what are you guys thinking about are you thinking about the holidays?
Honestly, haven't even thought that far ahead. We typically go to my parents' house for Thanksgiving, but I very seriously doubt that's going to happen. My mother has every underlying condition that you can have when it comes to these types of things, respiratory issues, all this stuff. So she is quarantined and is doing well, and we just don't want to complicate that at all. Mm-hmm. I like Sheldon's idea of doing something virtually. That might be something that we'll try, but honestly, I haven't even thought about it. I almost feel silly even saying this, but I thought back in March, I thought that we would be quarantined for about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. We'd be on the other side of this. I would have never guessed in August we would have 5 million plus cases.
Yeah.
I did not think that it was going to continue this way. But you know, I guess we'll just have to deal with it as it comes.
I will say this, I've just as the year was ending and realizing that certain things just kept getting canceled that were big moments for our family, I'm just learning that I'm not going to really do too much planning just to decrease the disappointment. So even though your mind goes to, okay, what are we doing for the holidays, or I'm just going to do this a week at a time and just focus on, you know, because I don't want, our family doesn't live here. You know, my parents are in Texas, and I'm not asking them to get on a flight.
And my parents live even farther than Tana and Marshall. I mean, it's an overnight stay to take that trip, you know. So it's a long way.
I just figure like we just have to be patient right now, that we will get on the other side of this. It's just our society is very immediate gratification, and we're learning now that things are not coming as quickly as we want them or the way we want them. And we just have to learn to be like, look, right now, I'm just thankful that my whole family is healthy. And although I'm, you know, not everything that we have planned for this year is happening, I'll just be thankful that I see them on FaceTime or in a Zoom, or, you know, and just when we do get to see each other, then that's going to be a big celebration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I am a planner, and while he's looking forward to Thanksgiving, this is still kind of early for me to plan for the holidays, but 2020 has taught me that you just take things in stride, and that makes life even more enjoyable. If you think about it, you're not no big expectations, but when something big happens, you're like, wow, look at God, you know? And so I agree with you. I'm feeling you on that one, Tish. And Tana and Marsh, what's going on? Are you guys thinking about the holidays at all?
Yeah, so first of all, we're not gonna have no more distance jokes. Okay.
Somebody that lives 10 minutes
away. Get it out your system. I'm talking past the midley. It's getting abusive. So as far as the holidays, so we are never here.
I'll do a report for you. Don't worry about it. I got you.
I appreciate it.
Everything. Don't worry.
Ridiculous. So we are never here for the holidays. We spend every holiday, even Thanksgiving and Christmas, with my family away, with my siblings, their kids. So this will be I am a planner. Everybody knows Tana's a planner. So we are planning already to not be anywhere. And so it's going to take some creativity. I just want it to be special for my kids. I think they've been through enough. And so in my mind, I'm trying to figure out how we bridge bringing the family together and celebrating the holiday so that it does feel special. Now his family is huge, right? They do virtual worships with everybody in the island. And so, I like Shell's idea of something creative like that, but I do plan to be with my parents this holiday.
I'm gonna just throw out there, we could still do, the temperature in small groups. Bring your little paper with your texture and you clean and come on through.
No, don't come here.
That's an option as well.
Don't come here.
It's so
Don't come here.
that are having small groups of less than 20, and then they have somebody that one person gets. I just would feel so guilty if one of my older family members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would just break.
The funny thing is, though, that a lot of people are transitioning to getting back together and meeting up in groups. I mean, that's something that I'm noticing. Just a lot of coworkers are saying that, like, yeah, I'm going to go see the family this weekend. I'm driving here to go see the family. And I'm just like, wait, but aren't some of them elderly? You're with me out here in the streets dealing with people every single day. Don't you think that may be a little they don't, it's almost like, I feel like some people are looking at COVID-19 and thinking that it's nothing now. There's a lot of people that are just like, I'm going back to my normal. I don't care what's going on.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm actually scared of that. I was reading the story. I don't know if Elaine brought it to me, but about in Georgia where the YMCA, I believe, they had like a sleepaway camp, and there was 340 people at the sleepaway camp. Of the 340 people, 260 of them tested positive for COVID-19.
Wow.
By the time they had to cancel that thing. So, you look at it at what, 75% of the people. So, and they was walking around real reckless. So, I know this is not an indictment on the state of Georgia or anything like that where Tana and Marshall live, but that was the last one. I apologize. So no, but like the reality is, I want to get back together with people. I really do. I have what's it called? Extrovert tendencies, but I'm massively more introverted than people think. I love being in this zone. My wife, she knows. I love being in my techie zone, but to communicate with people, just to be able to see people, would I venture out and do like a small group of 20? We shall see.
We're not.
We're not.
So let it be written. So we want to transition a little bit. We've been talking about life and families and COVID and how everything has been turned upside down, and we're still trying to maintain. I'm wondering, spiritually, how you've been maintaining. Some people have really gone through it, and it could cause either a more close relationship with God, or they could choose to, say, God has forgotten me. How are you guys feeling, and what encouragement do you have to give to those who might need it right now, like really need it, and they're watching? So I'm gonna start with Larry and Tish on this one.
What we did, and in anticipation, we were, as recently as maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we weren't sure if Jaden was going to be going to Oakwood or not. I wanted him to go. Believe me, it's time.
To go.
It's time for him to go. And grow up. I love my son, but it is time. This is the next phase of life. So I'm disappointed as he is. In fact, I'm probably more disappointed than he is that he still had to stay here. But what we started doing was reading Proverbs in the evening. Whatever day it is, like what's today? Today is the 10th or something, 9th? Whatever. We'll just read, we'll read the 9th chapter of Proverbs. So we would just do that every day and discuss it. What did we take from it? And I think, I think that that's something that allows us to be able to bond and talk and we all sit around and discuss it. Again, with our kids being older, it's a little bit different than what the rest of you are going through.
And I think for encouragement for others, I look at it like our lives were going really, really fast, I think, pre-COVID. And I think this has allowed all of us just to slow things down. You know what I'm saying? And just really get down to what the basic needs are. You think about what your Sabbaths used to look like getting ready for church, and everybody had different responsibilities. And it was just like your second job, you know, and like your Sunday was your Sabbath because you were doing so much on Saturday. And so I think this has allowed us to really look at the key things that are really important. And I think when you slow down, you can hear more, you know, you don't have other things that's clogging your mind, and you know, although we're busy, it's not the same. We have more quiet moments. And I think, you know, for people, I would just say, find those quiet times, you know, in terms of reconnecting or like a rejuvenation. Because I know when we get on the other side of this, we're all hoping that we're going to come out better with a different focus than how it was pre-COVID.
And Marsh and Tana, how have you guys been doing spiritually, individually, with the family, all of that good stuff? And what encouragement do you have?
I mean, I think we've been doing well. You know, it's challenging, you know, mentally to deal with the separation of, you know, not seeing church members on, you know, as regularly as we used to. And so that's, you know, a separate issue unto itself. But as far as, you know, worship and prayer, I think this is an opportunity for, you know, that to, you know, be more increased even than, you know, when we were seeing one another. I have another perspective as well, which is, you know, I kind of look at this whole situation and the COVID situation. I'm like, you know, I kind of feel like, you know, we were eventually, you know, as like the human race almost, or you can just picture it as America. Our time was coming for something really big to happen. Like, we've enjoyed a long time of like peace and, you know, comfort to some degree. And now that we're in a situation where, you know, we're kind of, you know, having to be mentally challenged, kind of more so than anything, going through a situation like this, it calls on us to go back to some of the foundational principles that, you know, we grew up on and that we learned in Sabbath school, you know, from week to week, you know, prayer and Bible study and, you know, the things that build mental fortitude that will allow you to go through something like this. You know, I always think about the last days in the time of trouble. I mean, it's coming. This may be a precursor for dealing with some of that. So I kind of use it as a strength building exercise to some degree as well. You know, that's just another perspective.
Sheldon and Elaine.
For us, it has been, you know, one of those things where we felt like we had to grow spiritually, individually, as well as a family. For me, I had to have my own personal time. I value that a lot. And so I had to make a time. I too am a planner. So I had to basically plan time for myself, plan time for me and Sheldon, plan time for us to have family worship. And I even planned time to have worship and prayer with friends who I didn't even realize needed that prayer time, that needed that connectivity. And so it has been an uplifting type of feeling just all the way around, because we're intentional about making sure that, you know, in this time where our emotions and all these things up and down, we need to have something steady. And so just having conversations with the kids about questions about worship, or it could be 20 questions, and that may be our worship, and that's just what it is. And so just taking that all in, being in, we have the Kennedys at times,
you know, time has flown by and we have enjoyed our time talking with you all.
Yes.
I know every time we do this, I literally learn something new that we can incorporate within our marriage and in our family to help plan and strategize on how to continue to get through COVID-19. Because, I mean, honestly, like Tana said, you know, she's out till January with her job. I kind of anticipate that with my job, but I have another aspect where I could be deployed And so that's a caveat that we have. He's always going out. Like Larry and Tish are always going out. That hasn't stopped for you guys. And so I know that people are getting a word from you in a way, if you want to put it like that. Encouragement, you know, single parents, single couples, or single individuals who are going through this, to hear you say it's okay to reach out. You know, this is the time to reach out. We're in this together. Don't ever feel like you're alone. You know, it is hard for people to do that, to reach out and to not feel like they're being a bother. But if we take on that responsibility, as little as it is, to just say, I have a friend and I'm going to reach out to them, because I don't know what they're going through. I have him here with me, but I don't know what they might be going through. They don't have anybody there with them to go through COVID. So I appreciate this time. And we just want to close out the conversation by asking you guys, what through this pandemic have you changed or adjusted? You know, Tish, you mentioned getting back to the basics, which, you know, ironically is the family life theme for this year, back to basics. And I think God has really full force allowed that to happen for the church family. But what are you now doing that you won't go back to doing, or you want to continue after COVID is over and we're in a new state of normal? And I'll let Tana and Marsh start that off. What are you going to continue through post-COVID once we get to that time?
So we've been pretty consistent about going out and walking with each other, you know, around the neighborhood, and just, you know, doing like family exercise. So that's definitely something that, you know, is a benefit, and you know, allows us to spend some time together, talk, and, you know, laugh, and, you know, get some good exercise. And so that's something that I hope we would continue after COVID.
And I've gained a different level of understanding as to what his day to day looks like. You know, before it's always, why you ain't picking up the phone, you know, when I'm calling you, but I see what his day is, right? And I have a lot more control of making sure he's eating lunch and getting breaks and so forth. And so whatever it looks like going forward, I think there's a newfound level of respect for what our days look like outside and away from each other that we want to maintain.
I love that.
Larry and Tish.
I think for us, we our days again have not changed as dramatically, but I think initially we definitely were reaching out more to other people, and it's very easy to get caught up in being really busy and being on the go and missing people, and not reaching out to them and saying, hey, just to say, hey, do you guys need anything? I've even called people to say, I can't get you toilet paper for you. This was early, but I can get you some water. Do you need water? You know, that type of thing. And so I want to try to make sure I'm intentional about looking after people, you know, calling Tana. I know they're an hour behind us, but just checking and seeing how they're doing, you know, even though even after the quarantine, just adios, that kind of a thing. Yeah.
What he said.
Okay.
We love you, Tana. We love you, Marshall. Miss our after church talking, you know, to when they flash the lights and kick us out the sanctuary. We don't have that anymore.
Exactly.
For us, I would like to continue to connect with my boo. You know, just taking the time to just, you know, connect with him in intimacy, as far, you know, different ways of intimacy, and just, you know, checking for him more. You know, and checking with my family as well. You know, just be intentional with that. I want us to continue with that as well.
All of what she just said.
Especially now.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I can stop right there. But I think the other part is I I don't think I've said this before, but I'm able to look at my boys in a different light since this has happened, because I think before I was very busy. I just have a lot of things juggling all the time, and but giving them the opportunity to ask me those 20 questions during worship, asking me, and sometimes these questions are so left field. I mean, woo! But it gives me the opportunity to hear them a lot more, and that's something that I know that I've got to continue, because the responsibility, Elaine's responsibility to them is different than my responsibility to them. The goal is the same. The goal is the same, but her responsibility is different than mine. So I've got to make sure that, I rear these boys to be men that are lovers of God, but also respecters, lovers of women, and just how powerful they can be in the world. So that's what my goal is, to just make sure I keep an open ear to them. But again, all that Elaine said at the top, all of
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us today and taking the time out to just have a conversation and be encouragement to others. You guys encourage us in your own way, in your relationships. I've told you all before, you're like big brothers and sisters. So I've enjoyed this time, Carl and I both. And we want to just thank everyone who tuned in to watch more this COVID conversation, and look forward to next week's COVID conversation with Emmanuel-Brinklow. Have a wonderful Sabbath, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.